Greetings, mortals. It is I, Remortis. And today, I'm bringing you a Baldur's Gate 3 guide on what I think is perhaps the best rogue in the game. The infamous Gloomstalker Assassin. At least in terms of combat potential. Although there's a lot of good RP and flavor options within this build as well. And thanks to Baldur's Gate 3, we can finally play this class combination confidently, now that we don't have any DMs denying us or judging us for doing so. Combining the ranger's survival instincts and the ability to hunt its prey, with the rogue's stealth and subterfuge, makes this a perfect recipe for a bounty hunter or Blade for Hire type character. In particular, we'll be looking at the Gloomstalker subclass for the ranger, and the assassin subclass for the rogue, both of which will be available for us to play on launch. We'll be going over the basics of each class, and then dive into the basics of each subclass. We'll also do a leveling guide too. But don't worry, there will be timestamps below so you can skip ahead to the section that's most relevant to you. Without further ado, let's get right into it, shall we? Let's go over the Ranger and what it has to offer our specialist style gameplay. Ranger provides us the following: 1d10 plus Constitution HP per level, meaning that we'll be getting at least 10 hit points per level plus our Constitution modifier. We'll also be proficient in light armor, medium armor, shields, and simple and martial weapons, and saving throws in strength and dexterity. Strength checks include the athletic skill for jumping and climbing, but could also be used for breaking doors or locks or pushing and pulling things as well. Dexterity checks include acrobatics, sleight of hand, and stealth, but could also be used for picking locks, disabling traps, avoiding danger such as arrows or that trap blowing up in your face that you tried to disable but failed. In Baldur's Gate 3, Rangers are given special favored enemy traits, which gives us a bit of flavor, as well as some neat perks for each one. We can choose between the Bounty Hunter, which will give us proficiency in investigation and gives enemies hit by our Ensnaring Strike spell disadvantage on the save. Keeper the Veil, who specialize in hunting creatures from other planes of existence, providing proficiency in Arcana, and gives us the ability to cast Protection from Good and Evil, which lasts until a long rest. This spell protects an ally from aberrations, celestials, elementals, fays, fiends, and undead, granting immunity to fear, charmed, or being possessed by any of those mentioned creature types. It also grants disadvantage to any of those creature types that try to strike your protected target. It's a pretty handy spell for fighting a wide variety of creature types, especially when it's free. Magebreaker hunts spellcasters and is granted the Arcana proficiency as well, and it also gains the True Strike cantrip, which makes your next attack have advantage, which isn't the worst cantrip out there, but it uses a full action to cast. It's not too bad if you cast it outside of combat. The Ranger Knight will grant you proficiency in history and the ability to wear heavy armor. And the Sanctioned Stalker, which hunts enemies of a holy or druidic order, will give you the Sacred Flame cantrip. I like that each of these give you some solid flavor options. The Bounty Hunter, Keeper of the Veil, and the Ranger Knight options are all standouts to me. We also gain Natural Explorer, which is another flavor option that gives us some perks based on what terrain is familiar to our Ranger. The choices being Beast Tamer, which lets us get the ability to find familiar for free, Urban Tracker, which gives us proficiency in sleight of hand, and the Wasteland Explorers of cold, fire, and poison damage that will give you resistance to each of those elements respectively. Of these choices for this build, I really like the flavor of Urban Tracker and the Poison Wasteland Explorer, but of course pick whichever one you like. Moving on to level 2, the Ranger can choose a fighting style. Archery, which gives us +2 to range attack rolls. Defense, which gives us +1 to AC as long as we're wearing armor. Dueling, which gives us +2 to damage to our melee attacks, so long as we're not holding a weapon in the offhand. This includes using a shield, so you can have your extra AC from holding a shield and still do extra damage with your in-hand weapon. And we also get access to 2-weapon fighting, which allows us to add our ability modifier damage to our offhand attack. Pretty much archery or two-handed fighting are going to be your main choices, though you could argue to run duelist if you really wanted to use a shield, which could totally be viable. We also get access to ranger spells. There's a solid list of choices that we can pick, and we'll get into that later when we're doing the level by level build. At level 3, we can choose our subclass. At level 4, you can choose between having an ability score increase or choosing a feat. Level 5, the ranger gets an extra attack and access to level 2 ranger spells. There's some more stuff that you get as a ranger, the higher you go of course, but for the purposes of this video, that's all you need to know for now. The rogue in Baldur's Gate 3 will grant 1d8 plus Constitution HP per level, or 8 HP plus Constitution. proficiency in light armor and simple weapons, but also gets access to specific weapons such as the rapier and hand crossbow. As a rogue, you'll get saving throws in dexterity as well, but also intelligence. Intelligence checks involve skills like Arcana Investigation, but can also be used to resist certain spells, to solve a problem, or to forge a document. The rogue can also choose from a plethora of skills to be proficient at, and get expertise in 2 of your known skills, granting double your proficiency bonus to the skill. For example, at level 1 to 4, we only have +2 proficiency, but at level 5, we move up to 3. So, if you had expertise in stealth, again for example, at level 4, we'd have a +4 to our stealth skill, just from our proficiency bonus alone, and then at level 5, it would jump up to 6. The other main feature of the rogue is the ability to deal sneak attack damage. Once per turn, you can deal an extra 1d6 damage to a creature you hit with an attack that you have advantage on, or if an enemy of your enemy is within 5 feet of it. You can also get advantage through a number of ways, but a pretty reliable one that rogue can achieve is to attack from being hidden. At level 2, the rogue gains Cunning Action, which lets you disengage or dash as a bonus action. This is incredibly useful to get in and out of combat and still attack or perform another action, if necessary. At level 3, we can pick our subclass and we get another sneak attack die. At level 4, we get another ASI or feat selection. And at level 5, we get Uncanny Dodge as a reaction, which lets us have the damage of an incoming attack. And we also get our 3rd sneak attack die. As far as multiclassing goes, Larian revealed that there isn't any stat requirements for multiclassing anymore. Which is neat, but our stats will be the same regardless. Now, this is where your preference comes to play. Your starting class will determine what weapon and armor proficiencies you get, and how much expertise you'll have. If you start as a ranger, you'll get access to medium armor proficiency, and when you multiclass into ranger, you will not receive that. The rogue will allow you to start with tons of skills and 2 expertise options. If you multiclass into it, you only get to choose 1 additional skill and 1 expertise. Both options can have their merits. There may be some really good medium armor in the game, and the extra skills could help you in and out of combat situations a ton. So the choice is yours. For stats, no matter which class you start, we want to maximize our dexterity, while maintaining a good to high level of wisdom. A balanced loadout would be 10 strength, 17 dex, 14 con, 10 intelligence, 14 wisdom, and 10 charisma. If you want to optimize a bit more and min-max a little bit, we could run 8 strength, 17 dex, 14 constitution, 10 intelligence, 16 wisdom, and 8 charisma. This is primarily a ranged or finesse-based build, so having a high strength will not matter. Now, onto the races. There are plenty of good options here. Any flavor of elf will grant you keen senses, which gains proficiency in perception. Both rogue and ranger can get proficiency in perception, but this will free up a skill point you can spend elsewhere. Wood elves will also get an additional free proficiency in stealth, thanks to Mask of the Wild. And they also get faster movement than most other races, thanks to Fleet of Foot. The Githyanki have access to some free utility spells that can make this a pretty cool option too. Plus, I really like the idea of a sneaky Githyanki assassin, especially if you're a Bazel enjoyer. Lightfoot halflings could be a solid choice too, because lucky is always a great trait to have, since you can reroll all ones, and they also get free stealth proficiency as well. And of course, as a half-orc enthusiast, they can allow you to deal better critical damage thanks to savage attacks, survive fatal blows with relentless endurance, and gain proficiency in intimidation thanks to menacing, which you wouldn't be able to get otherwise unless you chose the soldier background. Alright, now with that all the way, let's get onto the build. For the theme of this build, I really like the idea that we're a bounty hunter type character, hunting their prey for the right coin. Perhaps we might even join the Thieves Guild if given the opportunity. We'll just keep this simple, and we'll start at level 1 as a Wood Elf Ranger with the Outlander or Soldier background. And we'll choose the 8 Strength, 17 Dex, 14 Con, 10 Int, 16 Wiz, and 8 Charisma stat line, choosing the Bounty Hunter and Urban Tracker Favorite Enemy and Natural Explorer options. At level 2, we have 2 options. We can either grab 1 level Rogue now, get some extra skill points, or we can wait until we get our extra attack from the Ranger. For simplicity's sake, we'll just keep going Ranger for now. We'll grab the Archery Fighting style and pick up the Ensnaring Strike and Goodberry spells. 2 Weapon Fighting style is an option, but unless there's a good follow-up feat, Archery will ultimately be the better choice. As for these 2 spell option choices, the Bounty Hunter Favorite Enemy perk enhances our Ensnaring Strike ability to happen more often, and honestly I'm a big fan of the spell with the flavor and being able to provide early CC is very nice. We also don't really have enough attacks yet to really make use of Hunter's Mark, but we'll pick it up soon. At level 3, we'll pick up the Gloomstalker subclass, and now we'll pick up Hunter's Mark. This will grant us quite a few features, starting with Dread Ambusher, which gives us a bonus to our initiative equal to our Wisdom modifier, which is one of the main reasons why we started with that 16. But wait, there's more. The first turn on each of our combats, we can move an additional 10 feet, and when we attack, we'll get an additional attack that gets a 1d8 damage boost on top of it. But wait, there's even more. We'll also gain Dark Vision, but if we already had it from our race, that distance will get increased. And if we are ever in darkness or dim light, we become invisible to creatures who rely on dark vision to see us. And we even get a free spell on top of that in Disguise Self, which can be pretty sweet for RP reasons. And if we find a way to speak to the dead, we could disguise ourselves. Corpse wouldn't know we were their slayers. Whew, talk about a loaded level 3. On to level 4, where we can either pick up our ability score increase, or we can pick up a sweet feat. And there are a few options that are good for us here, but there are two that we're really looking at, with Crossbow Expert or Sharpshooter. Crossbow Expert lets us not have a disadvantage on point-blank shots with our range attacks, and if we attack with a one-handed weapon, we can make a bonus attack action with our hand crossbow. Sharpshooter removes disadvantage from long-range shots. Your shots will ignore some cover, and we can take a -5 penalty to the attack to add 10 damage to each shot. With all the ways to gain advantage, we can really help offset that -5 penalty to hit, and we have quite a few uses for our bonus action. So I think I will probably pick Sharpshooter here over the Crossbow Expert, especially since we can begin our encounters far away and keep jumping back into stealth if the dice are on our side. Meaning you could potentially kill everything in an encounter from far away before actually entering combat, which will combo with some other stuff we'll be going over later in the build. We'll probably grab Crossbow Expert feat later, or we could just dual wield an extra hand crossbow and shoot it as a bonus action anyways, as that's how it functioned in EA. At level 5, we'll get our extra attack, giving us 3 attacks on our first turn of each combat, or 4 if we're using the dual wielding crossbows. We also get access to level 2 ranger spells. We can pick up Pass Without a Trace, which is a party-wide buff to stealth, or we can pick up Lesser Restoration to help heal conditions that our healers might not be able to take care of, or maybe the healer got stunned and we need to help them. Cordon of Arrows or Spike Growth could be picked up as well to help set up traps mid-combat or for premeditated trapping. And now we can finally begin our dip into Rogue. At level 6, we'll get our first level of Rogue, grabbing Proficiency in Acrobatics and Expertise in Stealth, Perception, or Sleight of Hand, dealer's choice, and gaining our first Sneak Attack die. At level 7, we'll get our second level of Rogue and pick up Cunning Action, allowing us to dash and disengage as a bonus action. Pretty sweet. At level 8, it's time for us to become an Assassin as our Rogue subclass choice. In 5th edition, this will grant us proficiencies with the Disguise Kit and the Poisoner Kit. I'm not sure how the Disguise Kit will translate into the game, but the Poisoner Kit will probably have some sort of bonus to the Alchemy crafting system, particularly with the coding portion of that crafting, but I'll have to wait for the game to come out for me to finally see. We also gain advantage on attack rolls against any creature that hasn't taken a turn yet. In addition, we get guaranteed critical hits on enemies that are surprised. Remember that sniping bit we were talking about earlier? Yeah, that'll definitely apply here. So basically, you'll be trying to shoot your enemies from afar, perhaps using Ensnaring Strike, or just your regular attacks, but try to be sure to use your bonus action to hide whenever possible to give yourself advantage. Or if you don't feel like it, or if you feel like you have enough chance to hit already, then go ahead and use your bonus action for offensive abilities or more attack. Well, and that's the build, folks. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Oh, I'm just kidding. But honestly, that's not too far from the truth. At this point, the core of the build is finished. You can choose to continue with more levels of Ranger to get some more of the features there, or furthering your levels in Assassin for more sneak attack damage and getting some more expertise. Or, to pick up that Crossbow Expert at level 4 Assassin, although you could probably pick that up from Gloomstalker 8 if you decide to go that far as well. Or you could pick up yet another multi-class with the Fighter, gaining access to Second Wind, but more importantly, Action Surge, to have a total of 7 attacks on our first turn of combat. That's pretty handy, and you can get Action Surge back each time you short rest. But if you don't feel like going Rogue or Fighter, the Shadow Monk could also be a really good combo with the Gloomstalker as well, since it uses similar stats and has a lot of sweet options for causing darkness and jumping in shadows. But we'll go in depth on that in a later video. I really hope you enjoyed this guide. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you like more guides like this. And I hope I can push some more out before the launch finally comes. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Farewell for now.